It's a new era in afternoons on KTAR. Welcome to Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. First hour of the week.
Oh, hour one. A lot of people call it the best hour.
Bruce, without further ado, joining us now is Meghan McCain. That's right. Mondays with Meghan. We're doing this throughout the election. We got one more next week with Meghan. Of course, she's got her awesome podcast, Citizen McCain, the daughter of the late, great Senator John McCain. Hi, Meghan. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. Don't sound so excited to start your Monday.
You have to sound excited because next Monday's going to be a blank show.
I know.
Oh, I don't know.
I know.
Well, speaking of blank shows, we had the Trump rally yesterday.
What are you talking? It was all love. It was a night of love.
It was a night of love.
Celebration.
I saw you, Meghan. You were saying maybe this rally could backfire. I'm going to play some of this stuff. So it's not fun to listen to. It's hatred. It's bigotry. It's racist.
It was all in the teleprompter. It was pre-approved.
This was Donald Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. It was a rant fest. Here's a portion of it, and then, Meghan, we want to get your take on it, okay?
These Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. That's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that, a lampshade? I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
She is some sick Hillary Clinton, huh? What a sick son of a The whole party, a bunch of degenerates.
She is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist. It's going to be...
Okay. Meghan, what do you think? Is this going to derail it? Could it backfire on Donald Trump? Is this something that could actually hurt him?
I think there's a lot of outrage within the Puerto Rican community that's real. When you see people like Bad Bunny and Jennifer Lopez and Ricky Martin, who have, I think I read 178 million followers between the three of them posting, how much of a difference it could make. There are a lot of Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. There are a lot of Puerto Ricans, in Florida, in California, in New York. Like, I don't know. I can't gauge that part of it. But what I can tell you is, I had some friends who attended the rally. I even have a friend who spoke at it. And my friend Tulsi Gabbard, and she's very nice and normal, and she does not speak or behave that way. And I remember when I was watching clips last night, because I didn't watch the whole thing all the way through because it was like 4 hours, but just being like, whatever intention anyone is trying to do to reach independent voters or undecided or like women like me who are conservative but find Trump, his personality and his character just gross. This was the complete opposite of it. It was like a reminder to me of all the things that I have really disliked and had such a problem with for so many years. And I also found it strangely gloating. Like, it felt more like a celebration of a person who had already sort of become president, which I also think is strange because you should be superstitious and cautious given how close the polls are right now. And on top of everything else, I just don't know what you gain being not wildly offensive to Black people, Hispanic people, and anything else in between. And why are you still on Hillary Clinton? Like, Hillary Clinton's deeply irrelevant now. Look, it's not for me, but none of this stuff is for me. And it's also not for about 14% of Republicans in Arizona who are not voting for him. So so far that we're aware of polling wise. But I just thought it was gross and really weird. Weird's such a good term for so much of it, but I don't know who this is for other than really hardcore bros like the Theo Vaughn audience. And Trump already has that completely locked down now.
Right.
Well, and Meghan, I see it. You hear people say, well, I don't like the Trump stuff, but I like his policies. I'm like, well, what are those policies? You don't hear a lot of people describe them because as far as I can tell, the policy that binds them all together is hate. Hate of immigrants, liberals, obviously Harris, the FBI, Mike Pence, blacks, China, military windmills,
Jews,
Puerto Ricans, Democrats, women's, the media, foreigners, the DOJ, Biden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's the only thing they all agree on. We all hate the same people. And that's what you saw last night. It was a hate fest. It was the airing of grievances just a couple months early.
I agree with you that hate has become a very popular and effective commodity, but I still think this has a cap and this has a ceiling. Now, how much of a cap and a ceiling, I don't know. I mean, I think Democrats have really biffed a lot of things when it comes to the border and culture war and certainly the economy and inflation. And I think that, the fact that Vice President Harris can't go on TV and say one thing she would do differently from the past 4 years in the second most unpopular administration in polling history since Trump, they're not doing themselves any favors. But if either side had a more qualified, experienced candidate running, that side would easily win. And I think one of the things I was feeling last night, and I don't know if you two feel this as well, like I'm just exhausted with Trumpism. And I don't mean like his policies and populism. I just mean this blank, this stuff that we just saw. I'm over it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. And the idea of having another 4 years of it, I think it's going to have a real impact on the mental health of the country. I think if we have Vice President Harris for 4 years, I think it's going to have a real impact on things globally when it comes to our country. But, for me, it's like I'm sitting here like both pathways are horrible. But that rally last night was a real reminder of, yes, as you said so eloquently, Bruce, that hate really seems to be like the uniting commodity with the campaign.
Mondays with Meghan on KTAR. Couple of former Trump guys within his cabinet says he's a fascist. You think Trump's a fascist?
Do I think Trump's a fascist? I mean, I think he has fascist tendencies, but I don't think he's smart enough to be a fascist. And I believe in the channels of government that we have, the guardrails that are put in place that won't let him do the things I'm sure he would love to do. Do I actually have bizarre fears that I have right now that I used to have if he would get elected? Is the idea of him possibly, using his power to target his enemies? And by the way, I think if there's enemies, I'm certainly on that list. Do I think he would do something like that? Yeah. Is that a petrifying thought for American president? Yeah. But fascism is a big word, just in the same way that I think Nazi and Hitler is a big word. So I try not to throw it around lightly. I mean, what do you two think?
Well, actually, I want to go back in a sec. You think that if Trump wins, he could go after you because you're on his list?
I'm just paranoid right now. I feel very, and I don't mean it literally. I don't think he's going to come hunting for me or something like that. But, I'm still conservative. I'm still a Republican. And I just, my family has a long feud with his, and I don't know what the hell's going to happen going forward if he's president. It's it puts me in another really awful and bizarre position. And I think we can all set the clock for when he says something disparaging about my dad again. It'll probably be 20 minutes into office. He'll probably have I Hate John McCain Day enacted into law. It's just, that's the kind of stuff I'm worried about. And it's very, very emotionally taxing on me and my family. And my girls are well, at least my oldest daughter, she's not old enough, but she's going to be rounding the bases of being old enough at the end of his second term to understand some of this stuff. And who wants to explain that to their kids? So, yeah, I mean, I don't mean it dramatically, he's going to come and arrest me in my house. It's more that will my family continue to be targets of his?
I'm going to get back to, I know Gaydos asked a little something about some of the members of the cabinet, but I mean, we also have, and your family has a long history of military service. You have generals. you have 4-star generals, Marine generals coming out saying these things. And again, you've got, I don't know, it's not half the country or whatever, who think that generals are lying. I find it hard to believe that knowing the military service, not just your father, but your brother, I mean, there's a history of it, that you would think the generals are coming out and lying.
I mean, I don't believe anyone's lying about any of this. I don't think that General Kelly is coming out and lying about anything. I've been given no reason to believe that. And also, when you're putting yourself out and exposing yourself when you criticize Trump, I don't know why anyone would put themselves in that position, because it's a really unpleasant one and a possibly dangerous one. The question I have for just our country at large, and I think this moment 1 week before the election is a time of for me, real reflection about where the country's at, is why do people not care? Why do people not believe? Why is saying such racist and disgusting things at a rally in Madison Square Garden? Why don't people care more? And that's the thing I don't understand, because it does still matter to me. And I think it does still matter to millions of Americans, but it also doesn't matter to millions of Americans anymore. That, generals are coming out and saying he's a existential threat, that he's saying racist things, or his proxies are saying racist things. Like, that's a question. That's my real worry, is how are we this desensitized? And I think that's a very slippery slope of where we're headed as a country.
Mondays with Meghan. Meghan McCain joins us on KTAR. Kamala's closing message. She's going to speak on Tuesday, and it's going to be Trump is a fascist, January 6th. It's going to be part of that. If she doesn't make the case for herself of why, of what she'd like to do if she were president, do you think that she's off base on her final closing message?
Been really disappointed in her and a lot of things she's done in the past month and a half, 2 months. I think the fact that she can't say yes or no whether or not she would, agree and support government-funded transgender care for illegal immigrants in jail. The fact she just can't say yes, I'll support it, or no, I won't support it. Like, I don't understand why you're even running for president if you can't be clear and direct with the American public. Was very disappointed she went on The View and said that she wouldn't have done anything different the past 4 years. The 4 years of Trump were very hard on the American public. The past 4 years were very hard and chaotic, just in a completely different way on the American public. I had higher hopes for her. I have a very good friend who is very good friends with her who said she's great on a first date, and she's worse on a second, and then you won't want a third.
Wow.
And sadly, that has sort of come to fruition, I think, for me and a lot of other people. If I were her, I would just be real Bill Clinton style. I feel your pain. Things are really rough and awful and chaotic in the country. And do you want more chaos? Do you want more of what Trump gave you? Because I promise you I'll be the antidote, and I am nothing like Joe Biden. I don't know if she's capable of saying that. I would stay away from January 6th. I just don't think look, January 6th is a horrible moment for our country. I was in Washington, D.C. when it happened. My sister-in-law's office got raided and defaced by rioters. I don't belittle it at all. But it just isn't something that resonates with voters polling-wise and in focus groups. I don't know why. It just doesn't. If I were her, I'd focus on the economy and the border and how I am the forward-thinking future and that he is the past. I think we're not going back is a great slogan.
All right, we'll see if we hear that on Tuesday. Meghan McCain, Mondays with Meghan.
Thank you, Meghan.
We will talk to you next week, one day before
Thank
Election
you.
Day.
I got to tell you guys, I'm like so stressed out and tense. I don't know if you are too. Like, this is awful.
I think everybody is.
I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, my dad actually ran for president and was actually the nominee. And we were like laughing and dancing right up to election day. And then even on election night, he was like, nobody cries, get up, like buck up, we're fine. And I'm like, this dystopian stuff is horrible.
Yeah,
I hope it's back to something normal.
Gosh, yeah.
Fingers crossed, Meghan.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
See you, Meghan.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. She's Meghan McCain. Every Monday we kick the show off. Mondays with Meghan. We got one more of those.
We got one more, and she's right. And, when you were gone Friday, Barry and I were talking about this. It's hard to talk to somebody without the election coming up.
Like right now, you mean just in general conversations. Yeah.
And it's just not ending well for most people.
Yeah.
You're butting heads with people. You're nervous. You want your candidate to win. If your candidate doesn't win, it's the end of the world, which I don't believe is the case. But I think Meghan's right. It's a stressful time.
I still think the bigger problem is, and get ready for it, is I don't know anybody who would vote for insert that.
Yeah.
Which means you don't know half of America.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. But that's the reality of it.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.